Welcome back to the Will Silverman podcast. Happy Wednesday night, Thursday morning while I'm recording this. We're going to talk more NBA as it is the NBA time. But so it's literally an all NBA podcast. We got a lot of just a lot of discussion about the league in general, some of my thoughts. Bill Simmons, Nick Wright were on a podcast today that I listened to. I saw a lot of Windhorst, a lot of Bobby Marks talk on ESPN about the league, and so I'm going to give some of my thoughts and opinions on maybe what might be wrong with the NBA, or if there's nothing wrong, how to fix some of the things. Because there is some stuff wrong with the league. I'm just gonna give my thoughts on a couple NBA topics and what I would do if I was Adam Silver, what I would try and do to fix them. All right. Let's get into the show. Okay. So Nick Wright and Windhorst and Bill Simmons, Bobby Marks, and a lot of talking heads obviously have been talking about the NBA because it's kind of that time of the year. Super Bowl's over, and for a lot of people, that means it's the time for the NBA. And that is, that's great for me and for a lot of people who love the league. We've been paying attention all year, but for I would say the average fan who they start paying attention now, post All-Star break, is when I would really say the average person who consumes the NBA would start watching and really paying attention. So that is where we're at, and I think whatever the league has done this year and last year with the schedule changes have been, this year specifically, it's terrible. It's terrible. I don't know who is in charge. I'm assuming it's Silver, probably some other people obviously helping him make the decisions. But the fact that we are in the week after the Super Bowl, it's Super Bowl Monday, and the season, we're going on All-Star break the very following week, is an awful, awful decision. It's terrible. I don't understand why we're doing that. I think it's bad by Silver because this is the time where you should be showing the best games of the year. We should have Nuggets Thunder on. We should have Spurs Rockets. We should have Cavs Knicks. The teams that we knew were going to be good going into the year. I'm not asking for the Pistons or the Hornets to be playing primetime games right now, but this should be your time where you're advertising and broadcasting your stars. Timberwolves, Lakers. This should be almost like a mini Christmas. Should be this weekend. Should be this week. It should be firing off Monday night after the Super Bowl. Should be your big games. And if you're not, I even think as well that the trade deadline should be this Thursday. It should be tomorrow or today, whenever you're watching this. It should be Thursday, February 12th. It should be the week after the Super Bowl. Because no matter what you say about the league, if you don't like the NBA, because there's a lot of people who don't like the NBA. You don't like the NBA, you don't watch the games, you don't play defense, blah, 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 whatever. You consume the trades and player movement, and everyone loves it. Even my friends who don't care about the league at all couldn't give less of a crap to anything to do with actually watching the games. As soon as a big trade happens, my phone's blowing up because everyone knows I love the NBA and I care about it. I care about basketball. As soon as even minuscule trades like Jared McCain or Dorian Finney-Smith last year. Like, people are paying attention to that stuff. But could you imagine, because it was exactly a week ago, Anthony Davis gets traded today. It's a huge story. It's leading the shows Thursday morning. All day Thursday, it's leading the shows. And then you have all this information and TV product to talk about on shows like First Take, on NBA Today, on First Things First, Colin Cowherd, all the talking heads. That's literally all they're going to be covering. Whereas instead, it's kind of second-rate, middle-page news. Like Anthony Davis trade was on some segments. It was a little bit of this on like actual NBA shows was a thing, but everyone was talking Super Bowl last week. And it's not like we had a Luka trade from the year before where it's like, whoa, holy crap. Those trades are once in a blue moon. Probably won't ever happen again, a trade like that, as far as shock value and like, whoa. But for the average trade deadline, it should be a week after. It should be a week after the Super Bowl, and it really shouldn't be that hard to figure this stuff out. The week after Super Bowl is the biggest time for the NBA to be like, hey, this is us. This is us. Especially this year with the Olympics going on, no NHL. There's literally nothing else on right now at night. I'm recording this. It's 8:41. There's nothing else on right now other than NBA games. I got it over here on my TV. Hornets Hawks. Bet on the Hawks. Probably not great, but it should be the premier time. It's the only thing on right now, and it's not a really huge deal as it should be. Because everybody's like, All-Star breaks. The All-Star break, there's no more games on tomorrow. 0. The biggest days, if I had it my way, we're going to talk calendar, what I would do to change it. If I had it my way, you would have Monday following the Super Bowl, you'd have a couple huge games. You'd have your two main games that night are massive. Nuggets Thunder, Spurs Thunder, Spurs Rockets, Nuggets Timberwolves, your best teams, your biggest stars. And then that Friday and that Saturday, you also broadcast massive, massive stars, and that Sunday night as well. It's like a mini Christmas, but it's 4 games long. It shouldn't be that hard to figure it out. Because no one cares about the All-Star game. I love the NBA. I love it. It's my favorite league, and it's been my favorite league since I've been 8 years old. But it's struggling a little bit right now. It has never been, I don't want to say it's never been less relevant, but it feels way less relevant than it used to. And when it was really going, 2015, 2016, that whole Miami LeBron to really, I would say, up to the bubble, it was firing on all cylinders. It feels way, way less relevant than it did 5 years ago. Just average conversations with my friends. It's like, why you why are you watching the regular season? So, there are fundamental issues wrong with the league. I do think there is just a beating up on the league that is, it's a joke. It's easy. They don't play defense. The guys don't care. I do think that, that stuff's ridiculous. It's just, those people clearly are just actually not watching games and couldn't care less about the league or anything, and it's whatever. You don't have to worry about those people. But the actual fundamental issues are things that need to be fixed. Things like the schedule, things like tanking, things like the All-Star game. And that's what we're trying to talk about right here. And part of it is just getting more people to talk about the league. Even those people who like hate on it, no defense, this, they don't care that. When Luka got traded last year, it was a huge deal. It's a huge deal. Imagine he gets traded in a different world. This season, let's just say he gets traded, but they have it, or let's say it's last season. They have it my way, where it's the Monday after the Super Bowl. Let's say he gets traded. He got traded on a Saturday night. Let's say he gets traded that Saturday night. Literally right after a game, he gets traded. Sunday, there's not a lot of shows. Monday morning after the Super Bowl, that is huge. Literally, he gets traded Saturday night, Super Bowl Sunday. They're probably talking about it on the Super Bowl shows. Monday after the Super Bowl, massive. And then you'd have games that weekend. And then you'd have the trade deadline that Thursday. It is a simple fix. And then it very easy, simple. Okay. Let's talk All-Star Game and how I would fix that. It is almost an unfixable issue. It is really hard to fix, but there's a few suggestions I have. One is, I do think there is something, Simmons has always talked about this, to like the Caitlin Clark, Sabrina versus like Steph Curry or Damian Lillard. I do think there's something to that. Getting more celebrities in, like, they're doing a celebrity like 3-point contest with like Caleb Williams versus Jared McCain. I kind of think there's something to that. I do think people would tune into that on Saturday. And then you just got to up the price to the slam dunk contest. You just got to do something to get the young big dunkers in the dunk contest. I don't know if you have to raise it to like $5 million, but you got to just start giving away more money to get the guys in the dunk contest. And then I do think the skills competition used to be cool. They've like kind of belittled it now, but I'm a fan of the skills competition. The actual game, I really just think it's as simple as you need the best players to care. Because the game kind of was teetering and was worse. And then 2018, they flipped it to where you pick the players. It was Team LeBron versus Team Curry, I believe, that year. And that game was awesome. LeBron and Curry really cared. Towards the end of that fourth quarter was great. That's all you're asking for, is an awesome fourth quarter. And then from 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, it was the same, where the game, it was great. It was not great, but it was a good. 2020 All-Star Game was legendary. I thought 2018 was really good. 2022 in Cleveland, I believe, was very good. 23 is kind of when we started having the teetering issues, and I really think it's as simple as Jokic doesn't care. He's the best player in the league. He doesn't care. Luka, one of the better players in the league. He doesn't care. SGA kind of cares. I don't really know. Ant and Giannis very much do care. You can see it when they play the All-Star Game. They care. So shout out to them. And then it's really as simple. It's really that simple. I know everybody dumps on LeBron saying he ruined it because there's just an industry of, hey, whatever LeBron does is wrong. Let's dump on him. It is a huge industry, makes billions of dollars, and it made Skip Bayless a millionaire. So, yeah. But it's not LeBron's fault that the All-Star Game sucks, because when he was playing in it every year and was the best player in the league still, it was awesome. The best All-Star Game in my lifetime was the 2020 All-Star Game. And it was Team LeBron versus Team Giannis, and it was a legendary ending. 2018, great. Team LeBron, Team Curry, legendary ending. So it's really as simple as, just in a couple years, I kind of think it might be fine. Just get Ant and, like, the best player in the league in 3 years is probably going to be Wemby, and I think he really cares about the All-Star game. So it should be better. All right, this is really what I would do about the schedule. Because the scheduling is the biggest. It would solve so many things if they just fixed the schedule. They're never going to have less games. I think the idea of having 70 games is excellent, and it would fix a lot. It's never going to happen. It will simply never happen. I think it should. It's never going to happen. The owners are not going to want to give up $10 million, $5 million, whatever it would be to have the 6 less home games. That's really all it comes down to, and then the TV revenue. That's all it comes down to, and it is sad, but that's where we're at. So my solution is pretty simple. I wrote it out. I was doing math earlier for this podcast, so you're welcome, guys. So the league for the 24-25 season was 243 days. It started October 22nd and it ended June 22nd. The regular season was 173 days. So, yeah. Meaning the playoffs 64 days. The biggest thing to do, because the issue is the back-to-backs has been an issue with the league it's been brought up more prevalently probably in the last 10 years, but it's been a big issue for a while. And to fix that, just lengthen the season. Just make the season, instead of the regular season ending April 12th, have it end May 12th. You would then have, for this year, for example, starts on the 21st, ends on the 12th. That's 203 days. You would then have you'd have the play-in start May 14th. The playoffs start May 18th, end on July 21st, and then you'd have the draft be the 25th. And then free agency, all that jazz, be in the middle of August when there's nothing else on. The league loves free agency and all the rumors and draft. There is nothing but baseball on during that time, and it's the dog days of baseball. So I know we're keeping it because historic. The league has been like this. You've had the playoffs in May and June for forever. They used to have to worry about the MLB and didn't want to cut in the MLB's timing and wanted the season to end as short as they didn't want it to go in the summer at all because MLB was king. The MLB is no longer king. The NFL is now king. What you really should do is, as if you had it perfect, you're going to shorten the year, start the games Christmas in July 21st, and all of a sudden you're going to get more, you're going to get a higher TV rating because there's not football on. So more people will tune into the league. That won't happen, but whatever. That's what I would do if I was Adam Silver. This you actually should just do. It's so simple. Just move it up a month and then cut the preseason down. It's not like no one cares about the preseason NBA. Just cut the preseason down. Have free agency, summer league all be in August. And then September, they get off. Training camp under mine, you would start October 8th. Preseason the 11th. And then the preseason ends on the 18th or 19th. And the season starts 3 days later. It is one of the simplest things they could do. And I've always thought Adam Silver is probably the best commissioner of the 4 major sports. I've really questioned that because he hasn't done. I don't care that we've added the NBA Cup. It's cool. I personally like it, but the fact that it's like there's other things that are messed up and wrong with the league that you need to focus on, and most of it comes down to back-to-backs, which I know there's less now, but you can just completely eliminate them. This year, the teams with the most back-to-backs are the Sixers, the Suns, the Hornets, the Nuggets, and the Wizards. They have 16 back-to-backs. If you strengthen the schedule out by 30 days, immediately all the back-to-backs are eliminated. Immediately. Then you don't have the issue of players not playing. You have more rest for guys. And a big thing that doesn't get talked about, Steve Kerr is pretty much the only one who talks about it, is that they don't get to practice. If you do this, all of a sudden guys are getting to practice more. It's better development for the younger players. The players will just be playing better. The product will be better. For all that they don't play defense, they will be better defense. It's such a simple fix. It is such a simple fix, and it would help the league out tremendously. Yet, I've literally never seen anyone suggest it. I've seen people suggest shortening the season, but it's never going to happen. It won't happen. So we got to think of other things that would fix that, and this is really the biggest thing. It would just make the league better. Like LeBron, a couple weeks ago on Mind the Game, literally said basketball's harder to play now. It's harder to play in the league. Somehow that no one said anything about that. It was just like no one mentioned it. Like it never happened. But it is. If he's saying that, if the guy who's played for 23 years and has played came in the league the year after Jordan retired and is playing now when Wemby and Cooper Flagg are in the league, is saying, and he's seen all the changes from when the scores used to be 70-70 in playoff games to now we have teams scoring in the 140s and 150s, is saying it's harder to play now, then it's harder to play now. So we should do whatever it takes to fix it. Okay. So that's that. We're going to take a short break after the rant, and then we're going to talk tanking and then actual quality of game issues and really what I do to fix that. Okay, let's talk tanking, because I do think tanking has always been a problem in the NBA. It has always been an issue. Tanking literally started for the 84 draft when Jordan and Hakeem got drafted. The Rockets tanked. The Bulls tanked to get Jordan. The Rockets tanked. They got Hakeem. So it ended up working out. And the thing that sucks is that tanking, the league is going to inevitably award tanking. Unless you want to do promotion and relegation, which is impossible to do in the NBA, tanking will get rewarded. It's just how it goes. The biggest issue, in my opinion, is the back-to-back-to-back teams just going of years of being uncompetitive. The Wizards trade Beal in 23. They haven't been competitive since. The Jazz get rid of Gobert and Mitchell in 22, I believe. They haven't been competitive since. And they just, the Jazz a couple years ago started off kind of hot, and all of a sudden, Larry Markkinen out with injuries. The thing that, you look at the league now, the Thunder are the best team in the league. They tanked for 2 years. They shut SGA out and shut him down in March and April. He just didn't play, mysterious injuries. The Spurs tanked for a few years to get Wemby. The Rockets tanked. They ended up getting Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, and Thompson. The Mavericks tanked. They got Derek Lively. I wouldn't say they didn't tank last year, but they were rewarded with Flagg. So the Pistons tanked to get Cade. Tanking works. The issue is teams now, like the Jazz and the Wizards, trading for guys during the trade deadline and then just shutting them down for the rest of the year, and just, or in the Jazz case, playing them and then losing. Like, fourth quarter, they're winning, we're not playing you anymore. And the league has tried, this new lottery system has made tanking occur, or this new lottery system was designed to make teams tank less. The play-in was designed to make teams tank less. And I wouldn't say it's made teams tank more, but just the inevitability of the last few drafts we've had, where there's been so many good guys, there's been a clear top 2 or 3 in the draft, there's been more tanking. Like the 2024 draft, there wasn't a ton of a lot of good teams tanking on purpose because the draft sucked. Whereas last year, there's a lot of teams tanking for Flag. This year, a ton of teams taking for DeBonsta and DP Peterson. So what you do to fix it is kind of simple. Again, just like, first of all, the Jazz should just have their picks taken. And if you don't want to have the pick taken, then you make them have worse odds. I think, if it is clear, you need to have... David Stern would not let what's going on with the Jazz happen. He would just say, oh, you're not on your pick anymore. Your pick's gone. You need to just rule like a dictator at a certain point when stuff like this is happening. Because it is ruining the integrity of the game. Making a bad team on purpose is way different than having players who are good enough to help you win and then shutting them down in the middle of the game. So that's that. So here's my solution. Again, very simple. First of all, go back to, not fully back to the old lottery system, but go back to a variation of the old lottery. So if anyone doesn't know now, the lottery is only for the top 4 teams. It's not the whole draft that's a lottery. It's only the top 4 teams is what you're drawing for. And then teams can jump into the top 4 if they get picked, and then the rest just goes how the standings go. So, last year, the Mavs jumped into the top 4, the Sixers jumped into the top 4, the Spurs jumped into the top 4, and I don't know if the Hornets were originally in the top 4 or not, but I think they did. I think they might have been 4th. So, and then those teams jump, and then who was ever, the Jazz were worse last year. That's why they had the 5th pick, because they had the worst record in the league. They got jumped by 4 teams, and they were down to 5th. The Wizards, second worst, they went down to 6th. So that's how it works. And then the top 3 teams all have a 14% chance of getting it. There's 1,000 ping pong balls. They all have 140 ping pong balls. You should make the worst team should have the worst chance. I do think it's a little ridiculous now, because now you have more teams who are maybe they would have been 5th or 6th are tanking more now. Or the Clippers, or not the Clippers, the Mavs in this case. The Mavs are a little bit of a special situation because they don't have all their picks. They don't have any of their picks for the next few years. But a few years ago, if it was likely when the old lottery worked, where there wasn't really as much jumping up and down because it's so flattened now, where the team who has the 5th or 6th worst record doesn't have that much worse of a chance. The team who has the worst record, they're now losing more. They don't want to win anymore. There are way more teams tanking now than there used to be. Part of it's the draft class, but a lot of it's is the lottery. To fix that, you go to you go back to variation of the old system. The old system, it was 25% for the worst pick. You could do 20 or 22 or figure something out, have that, and then make the rest, like worst team gets 20%, second worst is 15, next is 10, and then down the list. And then I think you eliminate, if you're in the play-in, you can't jump. I think you cut a basis off there. If you're in the play-in, you can't jump. Actually, that's not even a tanking thing. Scratch that. And then the other fix is if you picked in the top 4 last year, you can't do it this year. Back-to-back years is prohibited. You can't do it. So, like, for this year, the Mavericks couldn't be in the top 4. The Sixers and Spurs are both probably going to make the playoffs, and then the Hornets maybe. But for this year, the Mavs, the best we could do is the 5th. So that fixes a lot of things. It fixes the teams who are maybe the 7th or 8th being like, oh, let's go for it. Let's try and make the play-in, because instead of having a 6% chance of the first pick now, we have a 2% chance. So let's lower it. And then the teams who are really, really bad will, in essence, just, like, there's no way to fix that. There's going to be bad teams. That's just how it works. I mean, the Titans tanked in the NFL this year. Some would, there's tanking in every league, but it's just so loud at the NBA, and so flamboyant and blatant. Whereas it's harder to blatantly tank in football or hockey or baseball. And then if you don't want to get rid of draft picks, just get rid of ping pong balls. Just make it to where, hey, you can't have, or the Jazz right now, you're gonna have a 14% chance. You're gonna have 140 ping pong balls. You tanked in the middle of February. You have 9. We're getting rid of 50 of those ping pong balls now. You have a 9% chance. That messes up the lot of the odds a little bit for the other teams, obviously, but then you just you disperse them how they would be. So there's 13 other teams. You just disperse the 50 ping pong balls that way to the 13 other teams. And then simple fix. Again, if Adam Silver had a spine, he would be doing this stuff. But it doesn't seem like he does. And you got to question if the right guy's in charge. You really have to. Really have to. Okay. Play style issue is the last issue, I guess, with the league. I do think the schedule, making less back-to-backs and everything, would help. I don't like the drasticness of some of these ideas. Like, John Hollinger had an idea of teams being able to draw their own three-point lines, similar to like how baseball stadiums are built in the MLB. The issue with that is then you're like, you have to draw your three-point line and it has to stay there until you build a new arena. Because you can't have teams drawing a three-point line every year based on how their team is. Like, you just can't. Like, the Warriors would draw three. They just built a new stadium. A couple of, 5 years ago at this point, 6 years ago. You can't have them being like, all right, we're going to draw our three-point line. It's going to be 40 feet out now. And then Steph retires, and all of a sudden the three-point line is 12 feet out. You can't have them changing it every year. Whereas in baseball, it's not like teams are changing the depth of the walls every year. It stays. So it's a smart idea, but I don't like that. Nick Wright is said to have dunks worth 3 points. No, I don't love that. I really think the main thing is if they're going to lengthen the schedule, it fixes a lot of that. It makes the guys have more energy, and they'll just play harder. Because I don't really know a lot of drastic changes you could make that would fix it. If you want to make the quarter shorter, maybe instead of 12, you do 10. But yeah, I don't know. I would, if anybody has any ideas for that, feel free to shoot them off because I really don't have anything. And then the last thing is the CBA. You have a hard cap now, which used to not be a thing, and in the middle of the league is getting screwed. Like, I don't love that the Celtics had to trade all their guys this offseason to get under the hard cap. Just get rid of this. Like, there's probably going to be a lockout maybe in a few years because the CBA. Just get rid of the second apron nonsense and go back to rewarding teams for building through the draft and having good players. I mean, if it wasn't Tatum getting injured, had to let him have a good excuse. But if Tatum doesn't get hurt, they're probably just doing the same thing anyway, getting rid of all those guys, and they're being mid this year. Whereas I know it's worked out for them, but you shouldn't have it to where teams are having to basically keep 2 guys and change around the core. You want 7 guys like we had with the Pistons in the late 80s and the Magic or the Magic and Kareem Lakers. Like, you want a core of 6 or 7 guys, 4 or 5 guys to stay with one team, and you want to build like that for at least 5 years for dynasty's sake. Because this whole Thunder team outside of SGA, Jalen Williams and Chet are probably not going to be on the team in 3 years. And then one of those guys might not be on the team in 3 years. It's the reason that the Timberwolves had to trade Cat. It is the reason that the Knicks in a few years might have to trade some of their pieces. So we need to figure something out like that, because you can't have teams winning championships and then in 2 years later, half the team that they won the championship with is gone. That's not good for the league. That's not good for product. That's not good for basketball or the fans. It's not good for anybody. All right. So let's run it down. Let's figure this out, and then we're going to get out of here. A few simple fixes, the biggest being just lengthen the schedule, make it 30 days longer, make the preseason shorter, eliminate all the back-to-backs. That would fix the quality of play issues. That would fix the players not playing issues. It would fix a lot of stuff. And then tanking, go back to a similar variation of the old lottery system. Teams can't pick in the top 4 back-to-back years. And then if you think something's fishy going on, like what's going on with the Jazz or what was going on with the Thunder a few years ago when they were just sitting SGA for no reason. Oh, he's out for the rest of the year, actually, and he gets some weird injury that we've never heard of in early March, even though he's fine pretty much. You eliminate their ping pong balls. So instead of having 140, they have 90. Get 50 of them, and you disperse them to the rest of the league. All right. That's all for me. Probably a new podcast Sunday night, Monday morning. We'll figure it out. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening. I will see you guys next time.